A pleasant day, everyone. We are the group 4, and today we will discuss the case study number 4, which is Where Did the Cry of Rebellion Happen? And I am Lea Lini Pareja with my group mates Nika Grande, Shena Di Maculangan, John Gerard Sandagon, Christina Barquilla, Maricon Silva, and Wendy Magbiray.
Time to tackle case study 4, which is about where did the cry of rebellion happen. I will discuss the first part, which is momentous events swept the Spanish colonies in the late 19th century, including the Philippines. It simply says that all momentous events was swept by the Spaniards on that year. Journalists of the time referred to the phrase El Grito de Rebelión or Cry of Rebellion. To mark the start of these revolutionary events, the Cry of Rebellion happened in August 1896, northeast of Manila, where they declared the rebellion against the Spanish colonial government. And also, prominent Filipino historian Teodoro Agoncillo emphasizes the event when Bonifacio tore the cedula, or the tax receipt, before the Katipuneros also did the same.
Various accounts of the cry of the rebellion give different dates and places. These are the same person that gives different dates and places of the cry of the rebellion. Lieutenant Olegario Diaz, one of the Guardia Civil that identified that the cry happened in Balintawak on the 25th of August, year 1896. Teodoro Calao, a Filipino historian that marks the place to be in Kangkong, Balintawak on the last week of August, year 1896. Santiago Alvarez, a Katipunero and the son of Mariano Alvarez, which is the leader of the Magdiwang faction in Cavite, puts in the cry in Bahay Toro in Quezon City on the 24th of August, year 1896. Pio Valenzuela, a Katipunero and privy to many events concerning the Katipunan, asserted that the cry happened in Pugad Lawin on the 23rd of August, year 1896. Gregorio Saide, a historian that proclaimed the cry happened in Balintawak on 26th of August, year 1896. Teodoro Agoncillo put it at the Pugad Lawin on 23rd of August, year 1896, according to the statements of Pio Valenzuela. August 24, 1896, claimed that the cry took place in Tandang Soras Barn in Gulod, Barangay Banlat, Quezon City, based on the research of the historians Milagros Guerrero, Emmanuel Encarnacio, and Ramon Villegas.
On August 26, a big meeting was held in Balintawak at the house of Apolonio Samson, then Cabeza of the Barrio of Caloocan. Among who attended were Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Aguedo del Rosario, Tomas Remino, Bricio Pantas, Teodoro Plata, Pio Valenzuela, Enrique Pacheco, and Francisco Carrion. They were all the leaders of the Katipunan and composed of the board of directors of the organization. At about 9 o'clock in the morning, in August 26, the meeting was opened with Andres Bonifacio presiding and Emilio Jacinto acting as secretary. Andres Bonifacio, sensing that he would lose in the discussion then, left the session hall and talked to the people who were waiting outside for the result of the meeting of the leaders.
To continue, because Andres Bonifacio already knew that he would lose to their discussion, he then talked to the people who were waiting outside for the result of the meeting. Bonifacio persuaded the people to start the revolution by saying a fiery speech in which he said that they should start uprising because the Spaniards already know their organization and they will get them soon anyway. He wanted to return to their town to fight for their freedom and for those men who were shot in Bagong Bayan. Those reasons of Bonifacio made the people decide to revolt as one. And after that, Bonifacio asked the people to give a pledge that they were to revolt. He told them the cedula tax was the sign of Filipinos' slavery to the Spaniard, so he encouraged the people to destroy their cedulas as the sign. That's when all of them have declared the severance from the Spaniards. The cry defined as the turning point when the Filipinos finally refused Spanish colonial dominion over the Philippine Islands. With tears in the eyes, the people as one man pulled out their cedulas and tore them into pieces. It was the beginning of the formal declaration of the separation from Spanish rule.
To continue, I will discuss about Pio Valenzuela. Pio Valenzuela A. Alejandrino was a Filipino physician and revolutionary leader. At the age of 23, he joined the Society of Katipunan, a movement which sought the independence of the Philippines from Spanish colonial rule and started the Philippine Revolution. According to him, the first place of refuge of Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Procopio Bonifacio, Teodoro Plata, Aguedo del Rosario, and himself was Balintawak. The first 5 arriving there on August 19 and him on August 20, 1896. The first place where some 500 members of the Katipunan met on August 22, 1896 was the house and yard of Apolonio Samson at Kangkong. Aside from the person mentioned earlier, among those who were there were Bricio Pantas, Alejandro Santos, Ramon Bernardo, Apolonio Samson, and others. There, views were only exchanged and there is no resolution was debated or adopted. But in Pugad Lawin, in the house, storehouse, and yard of Juan Ramos, son of Melchora Aquino, wherein over 1,000 members of the Katipunan met and carried out considerable debate and discussion on August 23, 1896. Overall, it is all about the discussion of the members of Katipunan whether or not the revolution against the Spanish government should be started, as well as the meeting of other members of Katipunan in Balintawak, house of Apolonio Samson at Kangkong, and in Pugad Lawin to plan on how they will carry out the revolution.
The discussion was about whether or not the revolution against the Spanish government should be started on August 29, 1896. Only one man protested and fought against the war, and that was Teodoro Plata. Besides the persons mentioned earlier, among those present at this meeting were Enrique Cipriano, Alfonso Pacheco, Tomas Remigio, Sinforoso San Pedro, and many others. After the tumultuous meeting, many of those present tore their cedula certificates and shouted, "Long live the Philippines," twice. From the various accounts mentioned, it is visible that these accounts are different with each other when it comes to the place and time of the occurrence of the cry. Using primary and secondary sources, 4 places and dates have been identified, and these are Balintawak, Kangkong, Pugad Lawin, and Bahay Toro, with the dates 23rd, 24th, 25th, or 26th of August, year 1896.
So, according to prominent Filipino historians, Valenzuela's first statement is not reliable because he told to the Spanish investigator that the Cry Rebellion happened on Wednesday, 26th of August in Balintawak. His first statement is only a verbal statement, and a verbal statement can be manipulated, while his second statement, he wrote that the Cry Rebellion happened at Pugad Lawin on 23rd of August. His second statement has a proof of legitimacy because it is recorded in his memoir of revolution.